Hi, I'm Mike, PokeTips Mike, and these Pokemon Sword and Shield leaks keep getting bigger and bigger every single time now. My last video I covered about 30 new Pokemon that were leaked in Sword and Shield, and this video tops that, which I didn't know was possible. We've got spoilers coming in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Alright my friends, so here's what's going on. So a lot of the leakers that have Sword and Shield, they've had the game for a few days now, and now they've played through the whole storyline, and they're starting to get to the post-game content. And since they basically have played through the whole game now, a lot of them have seen almost every Pokemon in the Pokedex. So about an hour and a half ago on 4chan, this leak popped up that basically claimed to be a full Pokedex leak. It listed all 400 Pokemon in Sword and Shield, minus the mythicals because the leakers wouldn't have access to that right now. Now the leaker did seem pretty credible. They also revealed to us two Pokemon we haven't seen yet, which are a Galar form of the Pokemon Yamask, which is Ghost and Ground type, and also a new alternate evolution for Yamask, which is called Runerigus. So it's looking like this might be the real deal, and this might be the real Pokedex for Sword and Shield. Now the disappointing thing here is it's looking like there is no post-game Pokedex. I covered a rumor yesterday that was going around that basically said that post-game the Pokedex would get expanded up to 632 Pokemon, which would be kinda cool, but it seems like Sword and Shield are only going to have these 400 Pokemon. Now here's how I'm gonna do this video. First, I have some interesting stats about this Pokedex that I want to share with you guys, and then I'll put the Pokedex up on the screen and we'll be able to take a look at it and see everything that made it in, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions and also tell you about some interesting little tidbits that I noticed while going through this Pokedex. Now a user of the website resetera.com by the name of KillstealWolf actually did some interesting calculations for us. They took a look at all the Pokemon in Sword and Shield and did a generational breakdown, basically telling us how many Pokemon from each generation made it into Sword and Shield. Now these numbers aren't completely finalized, but they should be very close to what they actually are. So here are the interesting numbers. For Generation 1, 54 out of the 151 Pokemon made it. For Generation 2, 33 out of the 100 Pokemon made it there. Generation 3 has 42 out of its 135 Pokemon. Generation 4 has 37 out of its 107, and Generation 5 here is a huge outlier. 83 out of the 156 Pokemon from Generation 5 have made it into Sword and Shield. So it's looking like somebody at Game Freak really likes Generation 5. I know James Turner is the art director for Pokemon Sword and Shield, and he designed 7 Pokemon for Generation 5, which all actually made it into Sword and Shield, so maybe being the art director has its perks. Then Generation 6 has 33 out of its 72 Pokemon in Sword and Shield, which is basically about half of them. And finally, Generation 7 has 36 out of its 88 Pokemon in Sword and Shield, which definitely seems like a lot, especially since Generation 7 had quite a few Ultra Beasts, which I always thought were very unlikely to end up in Sword and Shield. So looking at that breakdown, I'm actually really surprised because I would think that Generation 1 would have the most Pokemon in it by far. It definitely has the most Gigantamax Pokemon, but surprisingly, Generation 5 has more Pokemon in Sword and Shield than Generation 1. I would have never saw that coming, but I kinda like it because, you know, Generation 5 does have some pretty cool Pokemon. Now when we add up all 7 of those generations together, that gives us 318 old Pokemon in Sword and Shield, which means there are 82 new species of Pokemon in Sword and Shield. That's actually not too bad. It's kind of like right in the middle of Generation 6, which only had 72 Pokemon, and Generation 7, which had 88. However, unfortunately, that does mean around 500, a little bit less than 500 old Pokemon did not make it into Sword and Shield. So let's take a quick little look at what could potentially be the full Pokedex for Pokemon Sword and Shield minus the mythicals. Now when you look at this leak, just keep this in mind. Pokemon with the white background are just old Pokemon that were in other games. Pokemon with the lightly colored background are new forms, and Pokemon with the colored backgrounds and the bold names are totally brand new Pokemon to Sword and Shield. Now, I'm not going to say every single Pokemon's name. It would be kind of cool if I would Poke-rap through the whole thing, but I can't rap for my life, so I'm not going to make you go through that cringe. So let's just take a look. We've got Grookey, we've got the Scorbunny line, we've got Sobble's line, we've got Blipbug. So again, this really matches up with a lot of the Pokemon that have been leaked over the last few days. They're all here. All the Pokemon that have been documented by Cerebi, they're also here, and he's been putting in a lot of work to make sure that he has a very up-to-date, accurate list on all the Pokemon that have been spotted. So I'm thinking this could be it. This might be our Pokédex. Let's move down a little bit. We see the Hoot Hoot line. We knew about that one. Now, I do see a new Pokemon down here, Nickit and Thievul, and I really like those names. So those are actually the two Fox Pokemon that we saw a few days ago when these leaks first started, and now with all the information that's come out, we finally get to know their names, and also, they're both pure Dark-type Pokemon. Why do I feel like these guys were inspired by Swiper the Fox? Alright, moving on down a little bit, we've got these guys over here. Ooh, Ludicolo made it in. I didn't know that. I love Ludicolo. Ever since playing Pokemon XD version, I've always loved the good old dancing Ludicolos. And Shifttree's whole line made it in too, very nice. Ooh, Diggersby, I love Diggersby. I loved using Diggersby in like competitive battles back in the day. Such a cool Pokemon. Honestly, a little surprised to see Oddish in the game, that's kind of cool. But I'm very happy to see Roserade. I've loved Roserade ever since I first used one back in Generation 4. Now that's interesting. It looks like Electrike and Manectric are making it into Sword and Shield, and I really would have thought those guys would have gotten cut since Yamper and its evolution are very similar to them. Looks like Vulpix is going to be in the game too, and it's not going to get a Galar form. I wonder if there will be a way for us to get the Alolan Vulpix in the game, probably through transferring through Pokemon Home, but I wonder if there's going to be a special in-game way to get the Alolan form. Then we've got the good old vanilla ice cream cone Pokemon, Mamoswine, a lot of ice Pokemon early on in the Pokedex. Maybe we'll be going to a snowy area early. Or this could just be a big list of Pokemon that we see in the wild area, because I remember seeing a whole bunch of screenshots and video footage, and it seems like a bunch of these Pokemon, I remember seeing them in the wild area, so I know we could go there early. It would make sense for them to be early in the decks. Kingler, once again, I'm so happy that thing's getting a Gigantamax form. It definitely deserves it. And with this new Pokedex leak, it actually fills in the rest of the Pokemon that we haven't seen yet that are new to Sword and Shield. Right after my new favorite Pokemon, Applin and Flapple, Flapple evolves into a Pokemon called Appletun. And there's also one more Pokemon that's on this leak. It actually was leaked a little bit before this whole Pokedex leak dropped, so now is the perfect time to cover it because it all comes together here. And its name is Iskew, but I'm probably saying the name wrong since I can't pronounce Pokemon names for my life. Anyway, this Pokemon is kind of weird because it is a penguin with two different forms. This form that we're looking at right now is called the Ice Face form, and it literally has a big ice block as its face. I'm not sure what the other form is called, but the ice block is gone and it just has a small little oval as the head instead. Oh wait, you know what? Iskew sounds like Ice Cube. Its head is an ice cube. There we go, I get it. Now there's also one more leaked Pokemon. I missed it when it first came out a few days ago, so I'm just going to cover it here, and its name is Pinchurchin. Don't worry buddy, you're forgotten no more. So with that out of the way, if you've been watching all of my videos, then you should now know about every brand new Pokemon in Sword and Shield. That's crazy considering the games are still over a week away. Now just some weird things I've noticed. I'm going to keep this scrolling in the background so you can see all the Pokemon in Sword and Shield, but some weird stuff that I noticed is the only other starter in this Pokédex other than the Galar starters is Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard. There's no Squirtle, there's no Bulbasaur, and that's so bizarre to me. Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle have always been a pair ever since they were introduced in Generation 1, and I can't understand why in the Galar region they would cut the other two Kanto starters, but keep Charizard. Also, another weird big thing is it doesn't seem like there's going to be a legendary trio in the game. At the end of the Pokédex, we see the pseudo-legendary Pokemon Dreepy, Dracolac, and Dragapult, and then right after that we see Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus, and from there the Pokédex ends. So we know there's obviously going to be some mythical Pokemon hidden after that, but there isn't a legendary trio here. And I'm not counting Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus as a trio. I guess they are a trio, but I mean something like Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. Now this wouldn't be the first time that we haven't had a legendary trio. Generation 6 did not have a legendary trio, and in Sun and Moon they had a legendary quad, I guess. That's definitely not as catchy as legendary trio. So this isn't a first for Pokemon, but it does seem kind of weird to me how there aren't any extra legendaries at the end of the Pokédex. This is what's making me think that this might not be the full Pokédex. I feel like there's gotta be something else out there. Just not having Bulbasaur, not having Squirtle, and no other legendaries other than Zacian, Zamazenta, and Eternatus, it just seems so weird to me. So maybe there's a few hidden Pokemon in the game that the leakers haven't found yet. As far as I know, nobody has data mined the game yet to really figure out exactly what's in the data, so there is a slight possibility, although it's looking like this is more than likely going to be the Pokedex for Sword and Shield. Also, I'm kind of shocked that Garchomp, out of all things, got cut. Garchomp is like one of the most popular Pokemon ever, so I thought it was going to be guaranteed into Sword and Shield, but it looks like it's not going to be in these games. So my friends, there we have it. That is the complete leaked Pokedex from Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. If this is accurate, that means we now know about all of the new Pokemon in Sword and Shield. If this is the complete Pokedex from Sword and Shield like the leakers are saying that it is, are you happy with it? Did your favorite Pokemon make it, or did it get cut? Again, I'm just not gonna be able to get over the fact that only Charmander made it. I really think there's gotta be something else going on there. Let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments section. As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you haven't already, make sure you give it a thumbs up right now, subscribe to the channel if you're new, follow me on Instagram at PokeTipsMike, and my friends, I'll be seeing you in the next one.